Alright, so my lighting is weird at this tree, and I'm not sure I'm going to stay here the whole time. But it's at least where I'm starting for now, so here we are. Today's been a weird day. Again, okay, there's been some aggravation, if you will. So this morning, I had planned to go help my aunt take a load of stuff to the dump. Like, she got my cousin's old bed, mattress, headboard, all that stuff. Wasn't in the greatest shape. And she wanted it out of her garage, and he didn't want it anymore, so that, among other things, went to the dump. And ideally, I mean, that's not the ideal place to take it, but for the sake of getting it out of the house in a hurry, it worked out well. There's been this ordeal with a chest of drawers that my brother had for like forever. I think it was the same one that he had in high school, which he's like 44 now, so it's been a minute. And real sorry if you can hear my stomach making noises, because all at once it's like talking a lot. But anyway, so he had this chest of drawers, and they didn't want it. The last move, see, the slides were broken on it and whatnot, so the last time they moved, it was just in the garage, and apparently mice had been into it, so they didn't really feel the need to hang on to it any longer, right? My mom cannot let anything go. And so she said she would take it, right? So he and I got it loaded up in the truck, and you know, he told her like 20 times beforehand that it was broken. Do you really want it? And she was just like dead set on getting it. Well, then after we got it in the truck, she says, well, if it's broken, then I don't want it. And he says, you knew it was broken because I told you that many times. And I was like, yeah, now since it's already in the truck, you're SOL. It's going back to the house, right? So this has been a few weeks ago. So I got this damn chest of drawers, right? So it ends up in the garage, because that's where everything ends up. And I've complained a lot on here recently about the fact that the path keeps shrinking, right? At one point, we could park a car in there. Now we can't do that anymore. It's been a while since we could, because the camper that they sold had a bunch of stuff in it that the people that they had bought it off of left in there. Like, they, supplied all sorts of stuff that was virtually new, really good shape, because they weren't going to use it anymore. Their camping days were done. So since they were wanting to camp, then they were being generous and loading them up with as many good things as they could, right? Trying to help them out. That's not how my parents work. So they go to sell it, and rather than letting go of all the stuff that had been given to them with the camper, Mom takes it all out because we could get some money out of this. So the garage where we used to be able to park a car, which, granted, there was still a bunch of shit in there that had been accumulated over the years. I had thinned it out immensely, and got it to the point where we could put the car back in it. And so for a while we did that. We were even able to open the hatch on it and unload groceries in the garage if it was raining or whatever. That was a thing we could do once. When they decided to sell the camper, because we had to take everything out of it because we might be able to sell something, that was we were no longer able to put the car in there. However, nothing's gotten sold, so it's just there, right? And since that was not my project, that was not my idea, and I've been setting boundaries and not getting pulled into other people's shit, I'm not doing anything with that. And rather than doing something with that, my mom bought a bunch more shit off of it's a family friend's, longtime family friend whose sister died. They had an auction to sell a bunch of stuff so the daughters could make some money off of that, and get rid of some stuff that they didn't want or need, right? So mom buys a ton of it. And I knew it was going to be a problem because it was like an online auction thing. I knew it was going to be a problem when my mom was going through and was feeling bad because nobody had bid on anything. And I looked at it and it's like, there's days where this is, people are able to look at this, right? So we don't have to go through and just decide we need everything. It's like we could actually just bid on stuff that you actually wanted or needed for something, right? That's not how we're doing. So basically my mom got to go through a whole lot of stuff after the auction was over anyway, so even more stuff we didn't need ended up in the garage. Yep, my stomach's making noises, sorry. Yeah, so the path shrunk, right? And then again, when my brother was, they'd gone through their stuff and there was a bunch of stuff that they were going to get rid of. I mean, granted, some of it was decent stuff like a carpet cleaner and, vacuum cleaner. She ended up taking that. I'll probably put it in the storage unit, honestly, before they fuck it up in the garage situation. Because that's basically what we're doing now. We're just holding on to it, so it's a problem. So there's no walk path because, the walkway is shrinking. But we add more shit all the same. Right? So the box that had all the pieces for the carpet cleaner has fallen. So obviously we're not going to take care of it there either. Interesting that there is room in the shed, but none of this stuff is in it. And of course, if I don't put it out there, it's not going. And I'm real big on the idea of stop getting more shit, but we're not doing that. So we're still getting the shit, right? So the path is narrow and difficult to get through with my 3 dogs when we go out on our walks. Sometimes we go out the front door, but I try to keep that to a minimum because I don't want them going out the front door when they don't have a leash on, and every now and then if they're used to going out without a leash on, they will go out that way if we're holding it open for somebody. Mine are no big deal because they have good recall, but still, they're not going anywhere. But still, I also don't want them getting out and, scaring the delivery guy or whatever, because Taz is like, all go, and then he clicks his teeth together and it sounds scary and sounds like he's going to bite, but it's an excitement thing, and it's not ideal, but at the same time, if he's a herding breed too, so, it's common for nipping with herding dogs when there's like movement. So either way, I'm just trying not to make that a normal thing where they're used to going out the front door all the time, because when I was walking them in the side lot, that was happening more. Now they're getting better about not, so we try to stick to the garage. However, the path is shrinking and it's a big pain in the ass. So this morning, I said I was going to get rid of that chest of drawers since it's broken, and what's the point in keeping it? It's just cluttering the path. And my mom says, "You will not." And she said, he made a big deal about how broken it was. All it is it needs new slides, and, then it'll be in good shape. It's like, okay, who's going to get those? Who's going to put that together? Well, naturally, that falls to my father, who doesn't give a shit about anything anyway, and that was before the stroke, and now he's had strokes, so now he has an excuse to not have to do anything. But all the same, the other day she let him drive to Greenwood, which is like a 40-minute drive. So, God only knows, but that one they came up with on their own. I found out later that they were going to Greenwood and that he was driving after my brother told me. It's like, oh, cool. The man that has not been cleared from the strokes. Okay, what happened was he had an eye doctor appointment because he's been having issues with his eyes, virtually blind in one eye at this point because had a surgery, didn't end up taking or something. I don't know what all went weird with it. It was the reason he had the brain surgery, which potentially might have contributed to the strokes issues. I don't know. But he got cleared from the vision standpoint, not from the stroke standpoint. He went to the eye doctor and they said that he could, as long as he felt comfortable driving, he could go ahead and drive. Not because of the strokes. Not from the strokes. We haven't been cleared from that. Right? So, just making bad decisions. So yeah, and they're stubborn, and me and my brother aren't cooperating as far as they're concerned, so they're just doing things without talking to us until it's already in progress or otherwise an issue. So, we can't say, well, that's stupid, that's a bad idea, have you been cleared? We can't say all those smart things that, would make them have to second guess it, or anything. They're just doing the bad things, right? So anyway, it's a big ordeal. Cannot get rid of the chest of drawers. Fine, whatever. I was like, who's gonna fix them? Right? And, she's like, well, talking about all the clothes she has, so of course she'll use it, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, if you can get it fixed, 11/11. Yeah, so that's this morning's drama, right? So my aunt and I load up in the stuff at her house, and then we go over to the dump to get rid of that stuff. We had a good conversation, and it actually makes sense more so after spending more time with that aunt. Especially the whole family thing in general. The biggest thing is, I think where she is more disconnected from a lot of the drama than my mom and the youngest sister are, is she actually had a span of time where she lived in Oklahoma after my grandparents moved back, I think. Yeah, they did. 'Cause my grandparents moved back after my great-grandpa passed away. I don't know when it... yes. My cousin, the next cousin closest to my age was 12 years younger. And so my great-grandpa died when I was 7. And they moved back after that cousin was born because, I know this for a fact, because they lived in Oklahoma and were supposed to be, was it the federal building or whatever, the building that there was the Oklahoma City bombing, they were supposed to be there that day with my cousin for like some birth certificate, something or other. I don't know what exactly it was. For whatever reason, it ended up getting rescheduled or postponed, so they weren't there. Otherwise, they would have been there at that time. So they moved back shortly after all of that, when my cousin was still itty-bitty. So yeah, there was a span of time where they still lived out in Oklahoma without my grandparents in the middle of all their stuff, right? So that's why she is able to have some distance from the fact that my grandfather died and, my mom's world came to a halt and all this stuff. And the younger sister has some more issues with it. Of course, she was the favorite, so she didn't have to earn daddy's love like my mom did as much, but the middle sister at least had some time where she wasn't, or where she was able to have a life without them involved. So yeah. So we had a nice little conversation today, right? And I vented, I vent a lot. But it's that like actual conversations. It's not all just me venting. She gets her share of stuff in too, and we're actually learning from the whole thing. She was talking about how she had a conversation with her sisters recently, and she couldn't remember, or she didn't know something they were talking about because it was after my grandparents had moved up here, and my mom and her other sister didn't know that sister had a job at Sonic for a while. So it was like this whole weird conversation. It's like, so she actually had some sort of life outside of the family. So that's why she's able to have a little more distance on this my daddy died bullshit, right? Anyway, me and that aunt had a great conversation, had a good day, right? And we usually do. I was actually journaling, I think, last night, and thinking about how a lot of the most important people in my life have been Leos. And that goes right along with that Leo Venus, I think, because there's a connection point. But, early in the month, I might need to move to the other side of the tree. I don't know. That's kind of annoying me. Anyway, maybe it's not bad. I don't know. If it is, sorry. So yeah, we got that stuff going. We went out to lunch, and then we went to Goodwill because I had gone there to find shorts because I thinned out a bunch of my clothes after I started skating all the time and dropped 50 pounds, and suddenly the 16s aren't necessary anymore, and so I don't remember where I was going. I think I was going somewhere with that aunt the other day, and I ended up in these shorts that felt like they were really short, and it's like, oh, I don't like this. I was like, these are shorts that I wear when I have leggings on, so it doesn't bother me if I have leggings on because more of my legs are covered. But if I'm just wearing shorts without the leggings, I like longer shorts, like the Bermuda style, whatever. Well, those were all 16s. So those all left. And I was like, what on earth is going on with this wardrobe situation? Because I don't like the shorts that I have are all like legging shorts. And so I ended up at Goodwill yesterday. Yeah. To find shorts. And that was fine. But I had a few things that ended up wanting to take them back. So we made that little run today. Of course, okay. Since I live here, when I take stuff to Goodwill, if I'm just trying to get rid of it in a hurry, I will go to the ones nearby. If I am getting stuff, I go further away, like Fishers. Because Fishers have a little higher quality stuff. And as I told my mom and my aunt, it's like, I feel like I tend to be their bigger size. So there's a lot of stuff in the size that I want, right? And that was absolutely the case. I got a ton of stuff yesterday. Probably more than needed. Whatever, it is what it is. But I got a bunch of shorts. And the thing was, it's both workout shorts and regular shorts. Right? Because I don't always want to wear leggings if it's like 90 degrees. I have been here lately because that was the option I had. But whatever I was doing the other day, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to mess up my shorts. Or my legs because I had more of my leg exposed than I normally would. Whatever. Anyway, it's the thing I was doing. So today I took like 4 things back and found some things to replace them, of course. So yeah, we did that. We had the conversations and all this stuff, and we're talking about the big thing. Like, one of the biggest problems I have with my parents is we're collecting shit. We're not doing anything else with it, and now that I'm not clearing out the shit that they're bringing in, it's just not getting done. Like, it's just accumulating, right? So there's a whole lot of all that bullshit, right? Okay, I get home, or I drop my aunt off next door, and then I go back home. And I'm getting my dogs so we can go on a walk. And Taz has this thing here lately. He's been really bad about barking, and like once he starts, it's really hard to get him to stop. It's just a big pain in the ass. I feel like that will improve when we're no longer in that situation. I feel like there's a big part of it that's connected to the toxic energy in that space. I hate hoverflies, and there are a ton of them in this spot. I was getting swarmed by like 8 of them at one point. Oh yeah, they're just on me and my water bottle now. Anyway, I digress. So I'm getting my dogs together, and of course they get excited because we're getting ready to go on a walk. And my dad starts bitching. Get my dogs on the leash, and I'm taking them out of there, and he makes some smart ass remark, and I just said, "Oh goody, dickhead's at it again." Yes, I said that about my father. That was the first time I think I flat out said something like that to him, or in the room with him. Which, mind you, I don't feel bad about it, because that's still the man that calls me a dumb bitch and, you know, makes me very confident that he doesn't like me and never has. You know, I've told a lot of the stories on here. So yeah, anyway, that's where we're at. So I said that, and then I left. And it's one of those days where it's like just all these different things start coming up to point to other aspects of it. So like, you know, we have this conversation, I get my stuff, go outside, you know, and get in the car with the dogs. I went back for my asshole trying to get in my straw. There's one of those that's flipped down, but yeah, that one. But still, he was trying to get in there. Anyway, as I went back in to get my water thing and the dog's water thing, the neighbor was walking up and down the road. She's the one. They have a construction business, and so, you know, several years ago, they came to my parents and the people that lived next to us at the time to ask if they would have a problem if the neighbors paved it, right? And, I mean, they were pretty confident that it wasn't going to be a problem because it was a gravel driveway at that point. They said they would pave it and they would take care of all the upkeep on, you know, as far as keeping it cleared out when it was snowy and all that stuff. So, yeah, so we don't talk to them a bunch. They're nice people. My family's known them for forever. I think my mom and the wife might have gone to school together. I don't remember all those details, don't really care, honestly, but neighbors are nice. The wife was walking down to get her mail when I took the dogs out and put them in the car. So I was trying to not let the dogs get all going on, or have them going off on her. So I went and put them in the car, had the AC on, so the windows were all up. If she wouldn't have been there, I would have just rolled the windows down because it was really nice at that time. Whatever. When I came back out with the waters, she asked, she said my name, so I was like, okay, so let's go talk to the neighbor. And she's running around in a neck brace. I saw her that way a while back, but I didn't have the chance to ask what was going on with it or anything. But, you know, first thing she does is ask how my dad's doing. It's like, of all days, good time to ask me how my dad's doing. I think I said something to the effect of grumpy as hell, and getting worse. She was asking, like, if he was able to walk and all that stuff. It's like, I said the biggest problem that he seems to be having is the fact that he's struggling to find his words, and getting frustrated with that. I said, in general, just meaner to deal with. I said, but that's not really new stuff. I mean, he's worse about being able to recall words and come up with what he's wanting to talk about, and sometimes we're able to fill in the blanks for him. Not always, but usually. But I said something, it's like, I said basically he doesn't want to live. He's pissed that he's still here. I said, and that's not new. That's something that, you know, he made sure to let us all know before he had the strokes, you know, because last year on his birthday, as I've said many times, you know, he was, you know, basically throwing a temper tantrum until my brother got him to say what was going on, and he said, I just really thought I'd be dead by now. And it's like, it was a genuine disappointment that he wasn't dead yet. It's like, cool. Way to ruin everybody else's day, I guess. So yeah, it's like, yeah. But I asked her how she was doing. hoverflies. I just had 2 landing on on my thumb together. I hate those stupid things. I asked her how she was doing, and she apparently broke, I think she said it was a C1 in her neck. They were on a camping trip and going up a hill on a golf cart, and she was concerned about the grandbaby, and she fell off and hit her head and broke her neck. It's like, shit. And she said that apparently most people that break their C1, she said there's like 3% that live. It's like, that's pretty impressive. And she said she was out walking, so she was, feeling like, she's doing pretty good. She's just got to heal, but I mean, naturally, it's like, hey, I love the fact that she's actually grateful, right? Somebody that something worse could have happened to, and she's still able to see positive things, like the fact that she is still here, and she gets more time with the grandbabies and all that shit, rather than the asshole I live with, right? Who hasn't wanted to live, basically any of his life, and just was, I guess, deflecting his bad behavior and making me and my brother feel bad about things that were his issues, right? The way he and my mom have tag teamed their bullying of me and my brother for their bullshit, right? So yeah, here we are. Anyway, I walked the dogs, and I was just really kind of pissy, honestly. Just the whole thing with my father and, my mom, and acting like she all cares and all this bullshit and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was walking, and I found myself kind of I was thinking, I don't know how the fuck I am getting out of there, but I am bound and determined August is my last full month of being there. And I say August, I mean, obviously we're in August, so, 3 days in, so I gotta figure my shit out, right? It's like, but one way or another, I'm ready to be done with these people. I'm so fucking ready for the situation to be done, to no longer have any connection with them. I told my aunt earlier, I said they are making it where it is going to be really easy to walk away and never look back. And she said something about, well, hopefully not everybody in the family. I said, you and the other sister are the only 2 at this point that I really am struggling with. And I said, you more so because I feel like we've kind of bonded a lot over the past few years, right? I'll probably stay connected with her. It's her husband I really don't want anything to do with, but whatever. Is what it is. But we had that little conversation, but then so I'm walking the dogs and I'm just thinking, I don't know how it will happen. And there was this little stretch of time where I'm thinking, it'd be real handy if he just got it over with. But like, natural causes, y'all, I'm not trying to wish anything further on one way or another or anything. Just, I'm ready for the situation to be done, and an inheritance would make it easy to be able to go somewhere else, right? Or easier. But then I was thinking, I would really kind of like him to have to see me walk away and say fuck you in the process. I have no problem with that being our last encounter. Just saying, fuck you, I'm done, don't lose my information. We're done. So I'm going back on all these things. It's like, that would be more gratifying, I guess. But then that got me thinking about maybe the situation in Oklahoma might be worth considering a little further. But even then, it's like I still gotta get my shit together. How am I going to move my stuff that way? I don't know. It'd be real great if I could just win the lottery or something and have enough where I can share with the people that actually do mean something to me and that I know have helped me a lot and take care of my own shit so I'm elsewhere on that end, right? But of course you gotta play in order for that to happen. And it's like I play once in a great while. Maybe if I can manifest it. Working on it. I don't know. Either way, I gotta manifest my way the fuck out of there, and preferably sometime in the next month and a half. Which is weird because I've really felt for a while like September would be a good time to be out of there, you know. And of course I talked about the situation with the whole storage unit and realizing that the things with my family, it's like I've already done this. I did this with my ex. I had to figure out how to get out of that situation, and one of my first steps when I was ready was get my own bank account, so the storage unit was coming out of that, and then, you know, having a bunch of my money going to that account so I could start saving to try to help get myself out of that situation. And it worked out, you know. But it's like I eventually realized back in, I think, April, that was my next step: get a storage unit to start disconnecting my stuff from the family stuff, right? Because all their shit just keeps trying to creep in and take over my stuff. Yeah. Stupid flies, man. And they're bad everywhere. I was noticing when I was done skating yesterday, it's like they were trying to get in the car. I tried to do a video over there the other day, and they were like all over the place. It's like, the fuck? They're just, I don't know. But yeah, so storage unit. Now that my brother and his family are gone, I'm going to focus on mine and getting my stuff together and packed away, so it will be easier when when all the pieces come together. I can get up out of this hellhole. So actually, after I'm done here, my bad. Can't control my phone. After I'm done here today, I'm going to go visit the storage unit and try to rearrange some stuff. Got a little chaotic. I had the bed in there, then I took it back over there because they were staying longer. Then they didn't end up using it, so I didn't take it back to the storage unit until like the day before we had everything packed and we're moving out completely. But I gotta fix that in there and reconfigure the whole thing, really, that's why I got the bigger one. Because I got a lot of shit, and I realized that I think I'm ready to put like the bookcases and stuff in it, because it's time to get up out of there, do the things, and not be stuck. Also, on the way back, I think I talked about that, I got really into I discovered a new to me song, Falling in Reverse's Trigger Warning. Hella hooked on that song, and I feel like that's a good one to listen to when my dad's listening to his any of his bullshit that he likes to be all up on, right? Stupid assholes. Yeah. So I hate that you go outside and they're everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go, they're just there. Yeah. That's what it was. I got back from walking the dogs, and I went to ask my mom if she had fed their dogs yet, because yesterday that was the only way they could get the new dog in the house. And, you know, even if she goes outside on a leash, she's getting really bad about not coming in because she's afraid of everything, and they're not going to work with her. I've talked about that. They have no business having a dog, puppy, rescue, otherwise, no, they don't need it. Especially one that's afraid of everything. So, because I called my dad a dickhead on the way out the door, or said dickhead's at it again, rather, she got all serious and was like, come in here. I was like, what? And I go in the door, and she's like, shut the door. It's like, So go in there and shut the door. And she breaks out into her sob stories about how she's just really concerned that he might really be on the verge of a mental breakdown. I was like, so? What's your point? Because nothing's changing. And yeah, I'm not going to get pulled into your drama because you think something huge is going on when he doesn't give a shit anyway. He doesn't give a shit about himself. And honestly, she doesn't really give a shit about himself either. She just doesn't know, if it's not for worrying, she doesn't know what to do, right? Because she's never had a life. She had to, spend her whole life worrying about my grandfather's drama, and taking on the brunt of the burden of trying to earn daddy's love because she wasn't good enough, kind of a thing. And, that never got any better. And when he finally died, back in December, she's a hot mess. And it's funny because it's like she suddenly forgets all the shit that she used to talk about. Because, like, my brother and I were talking about this the other day. It's like some of the stuff that she used to tell us, like, like she and her sisters figured out they just had to stay out of his reach because he wouldn't spank them because he couldn't stand the thought of hitting a little girl. But what he could do is, a real hard one of those on the top of their heads when they're walking by while he's calling them stupid or something on that end. So they figured out if they could at least stay out of his reach, he was less likely to, he wasn't going to chase them or anything. I mean, it'd have to be something serious to get him off his ass. Otherwise, my grandmother was expected to do all the beating of the children and calling it discipline. Bullshit. My last video is talking about how I know I have that little Cancerian tendency to go a little pessimistic. It's like, you know what? I honestly think that this is part of what I'm supposed to be doing in this space because it's bullshit. This whole family, garbage and being essentially bullied by the older generations. So they force you into submission of what they want. And y'all, I was raised to believe some really shitty things about myself over the years, and I'm not okay with that anymore. Now that I really understand where that's come from and why and how, and seen it play out in the existence of being there post-divorce and, forcing myself, or being forced to see where exactly it came from and how I got into that toxic marriage situation, I'm not going to just cuddle their asses, right? Y'all treated me really shitty, and now that I realize it was your shit that I was having to deal with, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm done with that. Done with these damn flies too. So yeah. And then I was talking to my brother, it's like, we were always made to believe that my dad's side was the only side that the mental health issues were a problem on. It's like, all you have to do is look at my mom's situation in the house and all the stuff she keeps bringing in. It's like, there's every bit as much issues on this side as there is the other side. And honestly, I feel like my brother's obsessive compulsive disorder, it makes sense that he struggles with this thing. I have the tendency to, I do stress shop periodically. I need to work on that. Otherwise, stress eat, that's a big thing. But the biggest thing that I'm realizing with those things is like, it's the dissonance. It's being forced to exist in a way that doesn't agree with your soul, right? That doesn't agree with the core of who you are. You're being forced to yield to what everybody else wants and just go along and behave by their standards, and they don't care if that's not okay with you, as long as it makes you behave better, so they don't have to see how bad it is, right? So like my dad, since he can't access my energy or my brother's energy, especially now that my brother's gone, he's having to see that he's a really miserable human. There's no good fruit there, right? That's the full-on rotten tree, and all that he has to offer the world is rotten as fuck, because there's nothing good there. He never got to learn who he is or what he wanted to do in the world. He had to just take care of his family's bullshit, and he agreed, right? He entered into the energetic agreement where he yielded to taking care of mommy and daddy, and not going along with the woman he was probably actually in love with, that was in the military and went to Germany. He chose to stay behind and take care of mommy and daddy because that was the noble thing to do, right? So then he ends up with my mom and has me and my brother, whom he resents, right? So there's nothing good in that situation. And I've spent my whole life feeling like he resented me and knowing he resented me. And I'm sorry, I just don't give a shit if he is suddenly having to face how truly miserable he is, because I'm not buffering it anymore. Damn flies. I might just go to the truck just to go to the truck and not be around these damn flies, because they're kind of pissing me off. Yeah. Oh, I did tell my mom in that little conversation, I said, you need to call the rescue and tell them to take this dog back. Neither of you have any business having this dog here. I said, the dog's already afraid of her own ass, and now his erratic behavior is feeding into that and making it worse. So she's going to be like a shit show for anywhere she goes, especially while she stays here longer with him. Because, okay, I was gone. Okay, dog came on Tuesday a couple weeks ago, and on Wednesday, my brother and I were going to Oklahoma, right? And then I didn't get back until basically Monday morning at like 4 o'clock or so. So they have no business with her, right? And in that time that I wasn't around, she didn't get any better. Granted, she's been there a couple weeks. Now, they say it's like 3 weeks for a dog to... Okay, 3 days for the first little shift for it to kind of get a little more comfortable. 3 weeks for the next step, and then for them to really be more acclimated to the environment. It's supposed to be like 3 months. She's not getting any better. They're not working with her. I wasn't there to work with her. Even then, since I'm not going along with their bullshit, she doesn't really, she doesn't know what to do, right? Because anything that we come up with, if my mom and I are in agreement about something, my dad's still not going to go along with it. The other day I went and skated. There's a good thing. I went and skated on Saturday because it was so friggin' nice. It was like 75. I took my aunt and uncle to the dump the first day to get rid of a bunch of junk, and then did some running around. I took them there, and we went to the ice cream place in town, got ice cream, and then went home. Not even 20 minutes after that, they asked if I would help them take some stuff to this donation place. And so I did, right? Because there's like a couch and some other things, TVs, whatnot. And they said they had called the donation place, and as long as it got there by a certain time, they would take it. So they asked if I would do that, and they said they would get me lunch. It's like, all right, we'll work for food. So we went to the place and did that. Then we went to Panera, and I did not have any water that day, y'all. It was not good on that end. I had 3 Dr. Peppers there's the little cups there, like the little Dixie cups. Well, not Dixie cup, the Solo cup, the red Solo cup. Yeah, those size. But I had like 3 of those. I was like, this is really nice out here. I should skate. So I decided I was going to skate, right? So when we were done with all that running, we went back to the house, and I went to skate. And it'd been a while. Like, the last time I skated was the 18th. So what was Saturday, the 1st? 2nd? 1st. Today's the 3rd. Yeah. So I went and skated, and it'd been a while. And okay, normally my increments are like 4, 7, 11. Those are usually where I go. I am not above cutting it at 8, 9, 10, whatever. If I'm just, or 5, it's like I just prefer the other numbers for whatever reason, whatever silliness. So yeah, those are where I normally go to. Well, I hit 4 miles. It's like I'm not ready to be done. I hit 7 miles. It's like I'm really not ready to be done. 6 miles. It's like this just might be a 21-mile day. It was. I talked back in May about how I really wanted to do that. I was thinking by the end of May, or at least by the end of June. It did not happen till August 1st, but whatever. I finally did it. Second time I've ever done that many. And it was just I wanted to, so I did. Was not well hydrated on that one, so that was less than ideal. But yeah, so I was skating and really enjoying it, and my head was in good space, just like daydreaming and whatnot, and that's always a happier space than being with the family stuff. So I skated, right? So I was having, okay. There's a couple weird twin flame things. Last week, sometime earlier in the week, I don't know if it was before or after I got back from Oklahoma, honestly. I think after. I had this morning, I woke up and it felt like his arms were around me, and like we were on the stage, and I was looking to the left, and like I see like an audience, right? And like made eye contact with like 1 or 2 people in particular. But like the biggest thing was I was there in his arms, and I said, thank you for prioritizing me. So that was kind of a weird little thing that just was with me, so I feel like sharing. Honestly, I think that the bigger thing is the connection point will be because of the dreams. So that's why I share those on here so much. But yeah, so there's that. And then I was thinking about that and, having conversations in my head in this dream space, which is like 5D space kind of a thing. And the conversation was really good, right? And essentially, it goes back to the intention I set early on in this thing, once I really realized who he was to me. Where I said that I wanted him to know who I am, but also who I am to him specifically, right? Whenever this whole thing comes together, whatever happens. So, of course, I feel like the dream space is kind of a relevant thing for that. My nose itches. Okay. This is not staying put at all lately. Every time I blow my nose, it like goes in, or like mess with it at all. It's like it's going where it's not supposed to, and I have to push it back to the other hole, and then it feels like re-piercing it, and it's not fun. Or it gets too far the other way, and then I feel it coming out. It's weird shit, y'all. Not ideal when I'm not looking at it, because then I can't adjust it directly. But, yeah, there's my stomach. Sorry. Anyway, so the dreams and the things, and okay, so then I was having this, playing out scenarios in my head, right? So it was just kind of a weird thing. Like the synchronicities were off the chain. And especially like it felt really, I'm having these conversations with him in this space, right? So early on my skate, it's like the music that was coming up on my playlist was mostly his music. It's like if I said something or had one of these little declarative thoughts where it's like, this is how it needs to be. Like, the one I had today with, I don't know how, but August is the last full month I'm in this situation, right, where I live with my parents and all this stuff. Last full month, I am here. I don't know how I'm going to work it. I just know it's time to go. And I will say, it was 111 on the thing when I said that. So yeah, anyway, so like I would say something, and it's like, especially if it was like we were actually having a conversation, it's like there would be a response, and it's like my playlist would pop up one of his songs. It's like, oh, and like there were a few of them that it was back to back, and it's like, interesting. And there's just a lot of that kind of thing, right? So when I went to skate, I thought about skipping the knee pads and wrist guards, and it's like, I might fall. Set myself up for that one, honestly. So definitely manifested one of those. So I went over to the area where I am most likely to skate backwards, right? That's like the safest area I feel, because it's like the least traffic, and the road, since it's not used very much, it's like a service road kind of a thing. Since it's not used very much, it's not all broken down and gravelly like some of the other roads are. So, so I felt like it's my safest spot to try the backward skating. I have not done the backward skating in a while, y'all. And I got progressively worse. The first time I did it, I handled it, but it wasn't pretty. The second time I did it, it's like, barely handled it. The third time I fell. It's like, why is this getting worse? It's like, well, I did manifest that earlier because I decided I was going to wear the pads because I might fall. I fell. That was the only time I fell, but still. And it's like, I think I did the transition backwards once or twice after that. That was the only time I fell. It didn't get any better otherwise, though, and I immediately laughed at myself when I fall, because that's like the biggest thing. It's like, I totally just manifested that. Cool. Oops. So yeah. But, okay. So, 6 was where I decided I was going to probably go to 21, right? 16 and a half. I got to a point where it's like, I could not stand the feeling of the wrist guards on my hands, like where they, like they cut off over here somewhere, wherever my tan line is. And just all at once, it's like, I can't stand this. It's like, and I was like a quarter of a mile away from my car and had to take them off because they were bothering me so bad all at once. It's like, all right, taking them off. I'm gonna go dump them at the car. And I went ahead and it's like, you know what, knee pads can go too. Then I still had the gaskets on. It's like, because the gasket's supposed to help keep my knee pads from slipping around. Somebody walking their dogs over there. Hopefully they don't come this way. But yeah, the gaskets were all like sweaty, and then it's like that suddenly, since I didn't have the knee pads on where they were anymore, it's like then I was like really aware of like just how wet and gross they were, and it's like and I rolled them down and kind of shoved them down over my skates. I still feel them on my ankles, but none near as bad. But I can't take those off unless I take the skates off. And I wasn't ready to be done. And I wasn't trying to have that kind of intermission. So I just rolled them down and kept going. And it's like, all right, not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to fall and get all banged up this way and whatnot. You know, of course, still wandering with the thoughts and the visions of other spaces and whatnot. Okay. The sun's right in my eyes right there. So we carry on. I did notice my phone was getting kind of skinny on the battery situation, right? So still listening to my music. A few minutes later, it's like I should probably check to see where this is at, see how quickly it's going down, because it was like 19%. I get 16 and a half miles ish. It's like I want to make sure I don't lose my skate. That's the biggest thing. Don't want to lose my skate. I want to keep my progress. So I looked at my phone to see where it was at. Because my synchronicities, y'all, 18.88 is where I checked it. And it was at 9%. I was like, I should probably kill the music. So I went ahead and killed the music. And kept skating because I wasn't ready to be done. I wasn't at 20 yet. Wasn't at my 21 yet. Did make it all the way. Somewhere in there I realized the reason that my my wrist guards had been bothering me so bad was because I was swelling. It's like, oh. Then it's like, that makes sense because I haven't drank enough water today, so I'm probably retaining water. Because my body's like, hey, you're stupid. Why are you doing this, right? So, yeah. Ooh, that grass looks really green. So anyway, it did slow down the battery usage since I wasn't using my music anymore. 15 miles in, my headphones died. It's like, but that was no big deal because I just continued playing music without the headphones. But I didn't want to lose the progress of the skate completely. So music had to go. So last 2 miles there was no music. It was fine. Of course, realized I was swelling and I retaining water and all that fun stuff. It's like, cool. Probably not ideal for skating 21 miles. Somehow I did not have a headache. Normally when I'm not hydrated enough and I skate, I end up waking up with really bad headaches. Did not. But I don't know, whatever. But it was awesome. I got my 21 miles in again. And I was super excited. And I think part of it was I was so excited because it was the first and I'd done I think I handled the things that now that makes me question, what the fuck day is it? Oh, it's the 4th. Okay. So I handled my stuff on the 1st. So that was Friday. So things I wrote down that I wanted to do for this month. I want to spend at least 3 hours a day writing. I want to skate at least 4 days a week. And I had a list of things that I wrote down, and I'd handled them the first day, right? So I didn't skate that day, but I decided that I wanted to skate that day, the second day, right? It's kind of a celebration. I felt so good about my progress on the first day that I went ahead and, knocked out a huge skate, right? And I did right, but I kind of cheated a little bit because I'm counting my journaling, even though I wasn't going to count my journaling. But it's been a lot more detailed and involved here lately too, so I feel like it's completely acceptable to count it. But yeah, I was feeling so good about the progress on my goals, and then I felt really awesome with the skate progress. And then yesterday we had a little we had the cake and ice cream at my grandma's house for my aunt. Her birthday is this week. The one that I've been spending time with this weekend. And so I was there with the family, right? And it was fine. But it did get to a point where it's like, I can't be around these people any longer. It's time to go, right? I don't remember exactly what the conversation had been, but it was just like, I'm done here. I really want to skate again. But then it's like, I just skated 21 miles yesterday. Usually that would call for like some recovery time, right? No. There was no recovery time. I did 10 miles yesterday. No, I did 9 miles yesterday. I was going to do 11 because, hit 4, wasn't ready to quit. Hit 7, wasn't ready to quit. So I was going to go to 11, my next normal quitting point. And all at once, I think right under 9, it's like all at once my back started cramping real bad. It's like, ooh. It's like, I know I am not sufficiently hydrated and have not been for the past couple of days on these big skates. So I know that is a big problem. I told my aunt today, she used to be a nurse, I said, I feel like my kidneys or something were probably less than happy with me because I was so insufficiently hydrated. But yeah. Again, I managed to not wake up with a headache, so that's kind of different. But I did at least get 9 miles in. I was starting to go a little further, and then I was like, I wanted to stop. It's like, I know I'm about to my mile marker because I'd gone to the other spot for a little bit, and when I came back, I wasn't doing the exact same path. So normally the path that I do when I'm going in the direction of the car, that's about where the mile cutoff is. And this one, I was like midway through like the first lap, or the first part of the lap, where all at once I was cramping up real bad, and then I looked, and it was like, okay, it was like 8.92 or something. It's like, I'm done. I'm going back in the direction of the car, so it was like 9.07. But it's just like, I cannot go any further. Back is not happy. And so today I'm doing a video instead of the skating. I would love to be skating right now, but I also don't want to kill myself. And get my legs don't feel bad. And I mean, I don't feel like I'm really dehydrated, but I mean, I kind of, maybe a little bit, I can tell I haven't been drinking enough water. But kind of the temptation is there. But that's why I'm going to go to the storage unit and keep myself busy, so I'm not just doing that instead. Or going and skating because I am dying to skate again. Or just let that go. I have to take breaks. Right? That is like, especially if I haven't been hydrated properly. So yeah, here we are. I'm doing the video instead. But there was all that family drama today. And honestly, okay, so the last video I did, I was talking about trying not to shift back into the pessimism and all that. And then today, it's like everything that was happening, it's like, I gotta talk about this shit. It's like, it's time. And I don't know that I will or won't be at some point talking to my brother and his wife about potentially going that direction. But right now I don't feel like that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm not going to rule it out. At least the possibility is there. They said that I could get a little light situation. They said that they have space, so I could go out there with them. They, of course, don't like the idea of me being stuck with our parents either, especially by myself, but I think it's going to make me a little bit more fiery and more inclined to do whatever it takes so I am able to get the fuck up out of there, because I'm so completely done with those people, or ready to be done with those people, and that's just all there is to it. But again, it'd be real nice to make them watch me walk away the last time with the final "fuck you, don't find me anymore." We're done. But it's a lot of things that have to come together for that to happen too. So, like I was just thinking earlier, it's like, okay, I'm driving one of their vehicles. Like whatever vehicle I drive is one of their vehicles at this point. My phone situation, I'm on their plan. So yeah, there's a lot of things. I think I need to go through and make a list of all the things that I need to have separated off before I can really come out of that situation, just so I know what things to work toward, and to say, hey, universe, help, because it will. I wrote a thing the other day about how sometimes I inadvertently leave myself messages that end up being more of a message than I even realized. Like, so I have this one poster that's been on my desk for a while. There's like a 8x11. It's got a typewriter and it says write. And then I got these vision board things from Five Below the other day. It's like, I just really feel like I can't leave these behind, so I got them. And the two posters that I hung up from the three sets of vision board things that I got. One of them says, the universe provides, and the other says, trust the process, right? So when I looked at it the other day, I saw them all together because I was struggling with quitting the respite care job. And it's like, I'm not working with other people in the community with these issues. I was working with Gracie because honestly, it was easy. It was an easy income while I tried to get my shit together as far as like the healing from the divorce and sorting out the family bullshit and all that stuff. It was an easy way to do that without really complicating a whole lot on the job situation. So I'm not trying to pull somebody else into my chaos of having to be in the situation I'm currently in, right? So the other day, as I'm still thinking about it, do I want the final paycheck to come from, doing the mandatory training that was due by the 31st? Did I want that to be my last paycheck? It's like, I spent a whole ton of time with that kid because she was in the car with me on the drive out to Oklahoma, and we had some conversations and whatnot, right? So it's like, no, that's going to be my better paycheck. Let's end there and just have it be, right? But anyway, I had already given my notice, and I got the little email or the confirmation that they, received it and were processing it and blah, blah, blah. And then I look up and I see the posters together and it says, right, the universe provides, trust the process. It's like, that's where I'm at, right? So I just got to do the things I know I'm supposed to be doing. And the writing, I think the journaling aspect of it is still important, still very important, and maybe even more clarity on the thing than the other writing that I've been doing. Like the other day, this is kind of a weird one. Okay. So I was writing something that had to do with Tyler. And then I was thinking about how several years ago he was in a Martina McBride music video, because there was something where he went to school at Belmont University, and I don't know, she was in the area or whatever and had a concert down there or something, and he ended up being in the music video. And so I was trying to figure out what it was. It's like, I watched it and I remember thinking, he had kind of a obvious role in it. And I went and I talked to my mom. I said, what was the music video? And, like the first one, we both had thought, and it's like, no, that ain't it. And then she started looking through like her videos, and she said, I feel like it's Ride. It's like, all right. It's like, well, all right, well, fire it up, right? So we watched it, and then it was this really weird thing of seeing this guy that's been dead since 2018 you know, looking completely alive on this music video. It's like, this is trippy. But then on the, you know, on that note, he's like forever memorialized because he was in a music video, right? And it's like Martina McBride's Ride, and he's like the dude in the striped shirt. So that's the dude that was so important in my journey, and was so hugely responsible for me being able to start processing the shit that I needed to heal from. You know, I've talked about how when he died, you know, I already knew of his death. I knew in high school that he was going to die in our mid-30s, and that would be what brought our group back together for a little while. And he died at 34, and 10 days after I turned 35. So there's the mid-30s piece, right? And I also knew, you know, going back to the other knowing, that I was going to be 40 before I started to figure things out for myself. I thought when I got these knowings back when I was in high school, 18, that somehow meant that I was in some kind of way responsible for his death. And I don't know how. That's just the logic that my brain went with, right? So, that did not happen. You know, I ran hard from the connection after that, after I had these two knowings together, because I thought they were somehow related. But what I realized later, after it happened, was his death was the thing that allowed me to step back and finally, you know, I finally just looked at the situation. I was like, whatever's on the other side of death, whatever it is that I would have said that I couldn't have brought, or that I needed to say that I couldn't bring myself to say, he already knows anyway. So it just opened up space for me to start, you know, I started writing him letters and talking about everything, all the shit that I'd been carrying my whole life, right? The things, you know, with my cousin and, you know, the bullying and all that stuff. The stuff where I've talked about how I never felt like he was contributing to it in any way. Now, if he said anything in agreement with the people that were talking shit about me behind my back, I don't know. But I never got the sense that he was the kind of person that was doing that. So, when he died, I started writing him letters, and I started processing through the early shit that I was just carrying because I didn't think I was able to put it down, right? So then I was able to put it down. That was what cleared up space for me to be able to start making sense of other things at 40 and realizing how toxic my family is. But anyway, I've told those stories many, many times, and I kind of have to pee again, and I also need to go to the storage unit so I can reorganize some things and start packing some shit and getting it together so I can act like I have somewhere to go in the near future, because that's got to happen. I'm so tired of dealing with these people and all the bullshit. Anyway, so I'm going to call it there and wrap it up. As always, I appreciate you, and until the next time, see ya.